I've been circling back to a certain question over and over again. If at the end of Ocarina of Time, Link going back in time creates a new timeline, why is there not a new timeline every other time Link travels through time? This all starts when Link goes to pull out the Master Sword in the Temple of Time. When he pulls out the sword, he becomes an adult. This is time travel, right? Well, not exactly. When young Link pulls out the Master Sword, it is determined that he is too young to be the hero of time. Because of this, his spirit is sealed in the Sacred Realm for 7 years until he is an adult. Link does travel through time, but it's the exact same time travel you're doing right now while watching this video. Okay, well, if Link doesn't travel through time when he pulls out the Master Sword, surely he travels back through time when he puts the sword back. Yes, that's definitely time travel. But there's a catch. When Link time travels in any Zelda game, there are set rules for how things operate. The Legend of Zelda franchise operates on the same rule set that Back to the Future operates on. This means that you can heavily alter the future by going to the past and messing with things. Take Skyward Sword as an example. If I activate a time shift stone, I can interact directly with the past. What I do in the past changes the future. If there are Bokoblin remains on the ground, but I go back in time and kill that Bokoblin, the remains disappear. The key takeaway from this example is that nothing changed until I went back in time to change it. If I decided to never go back in time, nothing would have changed in the first place. So why does this matter? This matters because Ocarina of Time doesn't follow the same set of rules. Here are two examples of these conventions being broken. First, we have Nabooru. Before you travel into the desert as an adult, you are told that Nabooru is taking up residence in the Spirit Temple. When you get to the Spirit Temple, Nabooru is obviously missing. We know that she is missing because she is brainwashed by Twinrova and forced to be an Iron Knuckle. The only reason we know this is because of what we see happen as a child. In other words, the result was present before Link traveled back in time to change it. This is a huge difference from all of the time travel that happens in The Legend of Zelda, where we can see the results of Link's manipulation of time. But Nabooru is missing as an adult before we see this as a child. In other words, the result was present before Link traveled back in time to change it. Perhaps this is a fluke. Maybe Link had no influence on the situation at all, and this would have happened regardless of Link's actions. That's fair, but I have one more example that is irrefutable. The Song of Storms. This song is a textbook example of a bootstrap paradox. As an adult, Link talks to the man in the windmill hut. He regales us with the story of a kid who came into the windmill hut 7 years ago and played a song that made the windmill go crazy. Link learns the song as an adult and then goes back in time and plays the song in front of the guy in the windmill hut where he learns it. The problem with this is that the man knew the song before Link went back in time. The well was drained before Link went back in time. This is a direct contradiction to how time travel has been established to work in The Legend of Zelda. In any other game, Link has to go back in time first before we can see the results of his time travel. In Ocarina of Time, we see the results before we see him time travel. It's backwards and it doesn't fit. The reason this is important is because this type of time travel does not create a new timeline. Think of it like this. Link is experiencing the same timeline, he just experiences it out of order. If we were to take this timeline and look at it, it would be a solid and intact timeline. Link is simply bouncing around the timeline to do different things in a certain order. This is what allows for him to retrieve items from the past and then use them in the future. It's a lot like leaving your house and then realizing you forgot your phone, so you go back to get it. In other words, when Link is an adult, everything that he has done or ever will do as a child has already happened. He just hasn't done it yet. Here's one more example that hopefully explains the point I'm trying to make. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione participates in some wild shenanigans using a device called the Time Turner. This allows her to go back in time, but the catch is that whatever they do in the past has already happened in the present. Harry says it himself after defeating a bunch of Dementors.
I knew I could do it this time because, well, I'd already done it!
The summary of this is that no new timelines are created because Link only operates on one timeline. This is very different from the end of the game where Zelda sends Link back in time permanently. We know that this creates a new timeline because the future changes as a result of Link's actions. In other words, Link is not sent to a previous point on the same timeline, but is instead shunted into a completely new timeline where he never drew the Master Sword and they are able to stop Ganondorf from ever touching touching the Triforce. In fact, this seems to be the case anytime the Ocarina of Time is used to time travel. Take Majora's Mask for example. Every time Link uses the Ocarina of Time to start over the 3 days, new things happen based on what Link does this time. I guess that would mean that every time Link plays the Song of Time, he abandons a timeline to the calamity of the moon falling. And to think I used the Song of Time to win a minigame 3 days ago. There's new timelines popping up all over the place in The Legend of Zelda, but only one time in Ocarina of Time. Well, there you have it. This is why I believe that a new timeline is not created every time Link time travels in Ocarina of Time. What do you think? Am I completely right, or did you find the giant plot hole in the shape of a magic bean in my theory? Let me know in the comments. Also, consider subscribing if you liked this video. Or if you didn't like the video, subscribe anyway, and then you can post mean comments on my future videos.